Hello and welcome. You are watching In Your Interest here on News 9. I am Krishna Kumar. First up, a quick check of all our headlines. Massive fire causes extensive damage to 9-story government building in Kolkata. 4,000 EVMs used in the Bengal elections gutted in the fire. One year since the deadly crash of Air India Flight 171, the AAIB says it has made significant progress in its probe, reaffirms commitment to conducting the probe with diligence. India lodges strong protest with the US envoy Jason Meeks over the killing of 3 Indians off the coast of Oman, calls the use of lethal force on civilian shipping unacceptable. Mamata Banerjee embroiled in fresh trouble as police files a complaint against her over alleged inflammatory remarks made during the Dharamtala sit-in. Facebook and Instagram down for millions of users around the world as Meta experiences a mega outage globally. Exactly 1 year ago, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner carrying 242 people lifted off from Ahmedabad and never made it past the city. 32 seconds after takeoff, Air India Flight 171 went down. It crashed into the hostel complex of BJ Medical College, just 1.7 kilometers from the runway. Of the 242 people on board, only 1 survived. 19 more were killed on the ground. The aircraft reached a height of around 625 feet. That was as high as it ever got. Within seconds of leaving the ground, both of its engine fuel switches moved from the run position to the cut-off position. The crew attempted to respond. Both switches were returned to the run position and the engines tried to relight automatically, but at 625 feet, there was simply no altitude left to recover. A mayday call went out just before impact. It remains the deadliest aviation disaster in India's history and one of the worst in the world in decades. 2 broad explanations have been on the table since the beginning. The first is pilot action. The fuel switches on a Boeing 787 require deliberate movement. They do not shift accidentally. The fact that both switches moved in quick succession raised immediate questions about crew behavior. Human factors became a major focus of the inquiry. The second theory points to a technical or systemic failure within the aircraft itself. Boeing 787 fleet had previously received warnings from the United States Federal Aviation Administration, the aviation regulator of the US, about water leak risks. Lawyers representing victims' families have raised the possibility of an electrical fault. The sole survivor reported seeing lights flickering on board just before the crash. The aircraft had a recent maintenance history that investigators have been examining, and a reported issue with the fuel switch latch mechanism has added further weight to the technical failure argument. More recently, the Safety Matters Foundation of India added a significant piece of evidence. Its analysis found that the aircraft's ram air turbine deployed 2.5 seconds before the fuel switches moved to the cutoff position. That sequence matters because it suggests something went wrong with the aircraft systems almost immediately after it became airborne. 3 weeks after the crash, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, or AAIB, released a 15-page preliminary report. That report confirmed the fuel switch movement and included the cockpit voice recording exchange. The cockpit voice recorder captured something that has driven the investigation ever since. One pilot asked the other why he had cut off the fuel. The other pilot said he had not done it. What it did not do was explain why the switches moved. It ruled out no theory and settled none. Critics said the report lacked technical context and that its findings had been reported in a way that unfairly pointed the finger at the crew. Pilots as groups were vocal in rejecting what they described as a blame narrative targeting the flight deck. And now, 1 year later, families are still waiting for definitive answers. Investigators have missed the international target to issue a final report within 12 months. Crucial engine tests remain incomplete, and multiple agencies, manufacturers, and regulators have yet to align on their final conclusions. The Air Accidents Investigation Branch has defended the delay, stating that the team is conducting an extensive, rigorous examination and that additional technical evaluations must continue so that the final findings are supported by verified scientific evidence. But big questions remain that we are asking here. What does the delay in the final report tell us about the complexity of this investigation? And should we read it as a sign that the cause is genuinely unclear, or that there are other pressures at play? What specific technical challenges usually cause engine examinations to drag on this long? And why is it proving so difficult for the regulators, manufacturers, and agencies to align on a conclusion? We have some very special experts joining us to debate that. But first up, we're taking a very short break. We'll be back with this debate on the other side.
Lion O's family, super action family, Lion.
इसमें है फाइबर, बीटा ग्लूकोन, प्रोटीन, मैग्नीशियम तत्व, इसलिए ये शारीरिक संतुलन के साथ साथ शरीर को स्वस्थ रखता है। लायन ओट्स फैमिली, सुपर एक्शन फैमिली।
आज सम्मान निधि की ये योजना देश के छोटे किसानों के लिए सामाजिक सुरक्षा का एक माध्यम बन गई। एक क्लिक से करोड़ों किसानों के बैंक खाते में सीधे पैसा जमा होता है। दुनिया के विकसित देशों में भी ऐसा संभव नहीं है।
When stories of transformation are rooted in the soil, they reflect a picture of prosperity like this. These are the prosperous and empowered farmers of New India. Behind the success of the country's food providers lies not just their hard work, but also impactful policies of the Government of India focused on farmers' welfare. In 2019, the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme was launched to address the financial needs of the farmers across the country. Under this scheme, farmers receive financial assistance of 6,000 rupees every year, transferred directly into their bank accounts in 3 equal installments. The scheme has already seen the release of its 17th installment, continuing direct benefit support to millions of farmers.
प्रधानमंत्री किसान सम्मान योजना से गरीब किसानों के लिए बहुत ही लाभदायक यह योजना है। किसान सम्मान निधि योजना से मिलने से खाद या बीज सही समय में खरीद पाते हैं। इससे किसानों का बहुत ही भलाई एवं राहत मिल रहा है।
In 12 years of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's public service, India's agriculture sector has written a new chapter of growth. The vision of seed to market has transformed farmers from being just food providers into self-reliant, empowered entrepreneurs, giving them a new identity in a rapidly changing India.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
They want to attack us, they want to target us, so we have to defend ourselves.
They are punishing countries outside the region as well, like India, and like countries in South and East Asia. This is completely unacceptable.
But it amounts more to harassment than anything else. The big problem that they've created now is the closure of the strait.
Ultimately, the main purpose of this exercise is, frankly, to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
We have to watch them carefully and closely as Israelis, but we have also to be patient and understand this is the nature of negotiations when it comes to Iran.
But even with a temporary pause, both are looking for deliverables for their political constituency.
Whenever they've got involved in a war on behalf of somebody else, there isn't been just an altruistic purpose. They've been involved in it for their own purpose as well.
A single street in Belfast, sudden act of violence, and within hours, a city was pulled into chaos. What began as a stabbing has now ignited nights of unrest across Northern Ireland. Fresh unrest has erupted in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir with large-scale protests. As the guns fall silent in the Iran war, Donald Trump has opened a new diplomatic front in the West Asia. Not with missiles, not with sanctions, but with a bold demand. Uganda has closed its border with the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo with immediate effect.
At the heart of innovation, engineering meets purpose. From cleaner air to smarter mobility, filtration technology is shaping the future of industries worldwide. Global filtration leader Man & Hummel strengthens its footprint in India with the launch of its largest global technology and innovation center outside of Germany in Tumkur, a major step towards driving advanced engineering, digital innovation and sustainable solutions from the heart of Karnataka. This state-of-the-art center unites cutting-edge research, digital engineering and sustainability under one roof. This investment of over 100 crore rupees underscores Man & Hummel's deep commitment to India's engineering excellence and its ambitious global goals. News 9 partners with Man & Hummel for a series of thought leadership conversations.
A crisis that has shaken the foundation of our education system and left over 22 lakh students in a state of absolute despair.
The NEET UG 2026 paper leak is no longer just a story about a stolen question paper.
We're looking at the DNA of a national shame.
The rate card for the leaked NEET paper originated in Pune.
confirmed. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been eliminated. But it was just not about Khamenei. It was also about the entire regime which the Americans wanted to take out.
Are the Iranians going to carry out their pledges, and are they going to continue with their attack?
Though Trump had said that the waves of attack would continue. But a new signal has come that there might be a small...
He sees likely to...
You're watching In Your Interest. I'm Krishna Kumar, and we are asking some big questions exactly 1 year after that Boeing 787 Dreamliner carrying 242 people crashed in Ahmedabad. Big questions even after a year after the crash. What does the delay in the final report tell us about the investigation? What are the pressures at play? What are the specific technical challenges that's causing engine examinations to drag on this long? We have Air Commodore B.S. Sivach, Director General Aviation Safety India. Now joining us, Air Commodore B.S. Sivach, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. We also have Parvez Damania, founder of Damania Airlines, also with us. Thank you both of you for joining us here on In Your Interest. Air Commodore B.S. Sivach, let me begin by asking you a simple, straightforward question. What are we missing over here? 12 months down the line, it has broken all international regulations, no final report as yet. Is there something specific about this particular crash that is taking so long for the investigation to be completed?
It has been 1 year since this ghastly accident where we lost 260 people. First of all, I'd like to pay my respectful homage to them and remember them. Now, this was a very complex investigation, and our Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau and the NTSB, Boeing, they've all been carrying out this investigation. 1 month after the initial, the date of accident, a preliminary report was submitted, which invited a lot of, criticism and a lot of comments, adverse comments. And now it has been 1 year. Now, under normal circumstances, the investigation report is to be submitted as per the International Civil Aviation Organization Annex 13, 1 year after the date of the accident. But if for some reason the report is not ready, then another interim report is to be submitted by the AIB on the every anniversary of the accident till the time the final report is submitted. Now, this has generated a lot of controversy, a lot of speculations, and of course there are doubts in the minds of the public. There have been people are wondering whether there's some pressure from US, from the Boeing company. So all those issues are there, right, which are having some influence on this inquiry. Otherwise, inquiry, I think, they are doing a good job. They have carried out various investigations into the engine-related problem. What were the issues involved with the engine of the aircraft? Why did the fuel cutoff valve came on the idle or get cut off? So all these issues have been investigated. But in the inquiry, there are many more issues which are considered, and there are many more agencies are involved. So it takes some time. It may take longer duration, and which is the case in this particular crash. So I think we should not be impatient, and maybe another couple of months or even earlier, we may get the final report, and that will set all the speculation aside. So definitely the families are very concerned. There are various, compensation problems, litigation problems, and all those issues are there. So it's a very sensitive issue. And in this sensitive issue, generating controversy is really not in the interest of the fair and professional inquiry investigation. So I think we should not unnecessarily speculate, create more controversy, doubts in the mind of public, and wait for the competent professional to do their job.
Fair enough. We won't do any kind of speculation. We're asking questions because the victims' families are still waiting for answers. Parvez Damania, 12 months and we still do not have answers. Clearly, this is not normal.
No, we do not have any real answers. As Commodore said, within the first 30 days, the government brought out a preliminary investigation report, which was a 15-page report, which interestingly was very grey as far as the pilot's conversation was concerned and the switches, on-off switches were concerned. If you read between the lines, the report really cleared all other aspects like the service maintenance of the aircraft, the checks of the aircraft, the weather at that time, the quality of the fuel, all other parameters were cleared. It still left a very grey and a nagging doubt on the issues of the pilot. They said one pilot said to the other, "Why did you switch off?" The other pilot said, "I did not." They've not clarified whether the commander said or the co-pilot said. So there are still a lot of grey areas. It's 12 months. It would have been good if the report would have come, a detailed report. But still, because I was reading a lot of victims' families are still in a lot of pain. They still want to know what really happened because they do not know what happened. Now, Tatas were trying to get a lot of people to sign a compensation package. But the very strange part was when Tatas were bringing about the paperwork to sign a compensation package, they were saying that the victims or the victims' family members who are alive should indemnify Boeing and GE and all other people that are a part of the whole investigation, which I find quite strange. Why should Tata's worry about Boeing and GE and Honeywell and all the other people? So I think a lot of questions are still very grey. I don't know. See, they can be only... See, I'm not a technically qualified man, but as Air Commodore would understand, there are only two factors that can come into play here. One is an electrical failure, which the 787 has had a lot of electrical issues. But this kind of complete destruction of hull has happened for the first time. So one is the electrical failure and the other is the human element. Now, pilot who has died now indirectly, showing areas where there could have been a human element, deliberately switches were put off. Nobody's going to cut off the fuel switch while taking. That's a complete disaster. I mean,
Yeah.
So
and
we have a lot of questions.
Lot of questions, but right now, the way it stands right now, it looks like the finger is being repeatedly pointed at the crew, at the pilots.
Which is wrong. Which is wrong. I don't think we should blame the pilots because the pilots are easiest to blame. Try and understand what we are talking here. One side, you have some of the largest corporations in the world. Boeing is already reeling under a lot of inquiry and issues. You have Boeing, you have GE, you have Honeywell on one side. On the Indian side, you have the Tata Empire, Air India Tata. At the other side, you have the pilots and the Pilots Association. See, it is an unequal fight. The commander's fathers approached the Supreme Court also, and Supreme Court has supported him. So I think it's a very unequal fight. I think it's very important that Boeing and GE and Honeywell and Air India should come out with the truth, however detrimental it should be. But we cannot blame the pilots and get away with this situation. A lot of questions remain unanswered. Why did the switches get cut off? Why would a pilot put off the fuel control switches while taking off, which is the most crucial point? All other parameters were absolutely perfect for the aircraft. The aircraft was maintained well. Service checks had been. The interesting thing is when it landed from Delhi to Ahmedabad, there was a minor technical flaw in the aircraft. Air Commodore would agree, which was corrected. Then the engineer signed off. So, I mean, there's no other reason except some kind of electrical malfunction that could have caused the crash. That is what I'm assuming. And like, there have been 8 incidents, according to me, where the electrical problems have occurred. And if you remember right, there was an Air India Flight 132, which flew from England to Bangalore. And when the pilot landed, he reported that the fuel control switch kept going from on position to off position.
Right.
And when the plane landed, it was grounded. That means this could happen. This could have happened. And I cannot think of any other reason why such a technically advanced plane could have crashed.
Fair enough. Important point that you make over there. There is a problem with that fuel control switch, which has been repeatedly flagged in other instances as well. But for now, we all continue to wait for that final report. But I'm afraid we're out of time here on this conversation. Air Commodore B.S. Sivach and Parvez Damania, thank you both of you for taking time out to be with us here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
The war red.
The war between the US and Iran has produced another moment of sudden drastic shift in diplomacy. US President Donald Trump announced that a sweeping settlement to halt military strikes has been reached. According to the US administration, the final documents are being processed and a formal signing ceremony could take place in Europe within days. However, Iran has explicitly rejected this claim. Officials in Tehran are calling the US announcement baseless, asserting that no agreement has been approved or finalized. Adding to the friction, Israel has stated that it's entirely unaware of any finalized deal, while Iran has gone on to accuse Washington of moving the goalposts by introducing entirely new demands at the 11th hour. Cast your mind back to the month of May last year. The US had declared that a sweeping nuclear deal was very close. Tehran responded by saying no deal was imminent and that America's key demands were, in their words, a fantasy. Then in late May this year, Washington said a broad peace agreement has been finalized. Iran said its red lines were being ignored and walked away from the table. And now Trump has said the final deal is done and ready to be signed. Iran has again said nothing of the sort is true.